In 2 days, we are going to have the most important election we've ever had in the state of Montana, and that is the notion, the vote, that women will be allowed to vote in our state. And it's up to, thank you, gentlemen, for your support in this effort. And thank you so much for your work, because it's taken so many of us across this great state of Montana to allow this tremendous vote to come before us. And I stand here in this beautiful valley, the valley of my family. Of course, you know, the Rankin family has been here for decades. My father, John Rankin, and my mother, Olive Pickering Rankin, settled in this valley. My mother coming from New Hampshire because she had heard of the wonderful stories from her uncle about this valley. And she and her sister Mandan came out to see what it was all about. They were two adventurous young women, and of course her sister took one look around this valley and thought it not a fit place to raise children, so she promptly returned to New Hampshire. But of course, thankfully for my brother and my sisters and I, my mother decided it was a very fit place to raise children and promptly married my father. So my father homesteaded some acreage up Grand Creek. It was a very beautiful place, full of wild game, full of creeks to provide water for our family farm. It also had a stand of trees on the property, and my father, in his inventiveness, of course, being the kind of person who settles in this valley, that he decided it would be good to harvest some of those trees, built a sawmill to mill those logs, and then built the first bridge across the Clark Fork River. He also built a number of other buildings, including the First Methodist Church, which of course we all went to when we were young. But it was growing up on the ranch that was really the most important part of our being in this beautiful valley. It was where we were raised to be independent, to understand that it takes hard work to get something done, and it takes men and women working together to get something done. And so that is why we come before you, the men of the state of Montana, in this year of 1916, when we have the automobile, but we do not have the right to vote. We women come asking you if you will provide that basic right, basic to all in our democracy, that your wives, your daughters, your mothers will have the right to vote. And of course, I thank you for being here today, because there are many of you who have worked tirelessly across this beautiful state to make that happen. It hasn't been easy. For many years, we were the last of the western states not to have suffrage for our women. Utah, Nevada, South Dakota, North Dakota, California, Washington, all of these states allowed their women to vote before Montana. It was not a new concept. Many people brought the idea to our state legislatures for years. But it took finally a legislature that would actually entertain the idea to allow the voters of Montana, the men, to vote on this momentous issue. We first of all had to elect a legislature that was going to do that. And it took men and women across this vast state in every little town in Montana in order to do that. And that was wonderful, a wonderful accomplishment. And now, in this next week, we will have that vote, the result of that ability to bring the issue to the voters. And of course, why? We ask, why not Montana? We ask, why California? Why Utah? Why Nevada? But why not Montana? And of course, many of us know why not Montana. It's because our political system, our government, our legislature, our mines, our factories, our smelters, our farms are all controlled by those who do not want women's voices heard. They do not want women to speak up alongside their men and say we need safe working conditions, we need a 40-hour work week, we need safe water, we need safe air, we need a healthy environment with which to raise our children, and our husbands and our fathers need a living wage in which to raise their families. There are many in this state who do not want women's voices to be heard on those important issues, but we will be heard. We are not saying that women are better than men. Not at all. We know that we work together with our fathers, our sons, our brothers to bring this beautiful state to where it is. It's like using the right hand and the left hand. It makes no sense not to use both. And so I ask you, Montana, are you going to stand with us? Are you going to stand with your wives and your mothers and your daughters to allow them to vote? So I say, why not, Montana? And I thank you for voting next Tuesday. So thank you.
I think the vote will go well.
Thank you. I am certain it will.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much, and for all your work.
Yay.